title and the topic for this speech is really astounding. I'm looking forward to Scott's speech. Please help me welcome Scott.
Thank you, Carter. What is motivation? To me, motivation is what separates doing from not doing. For many things we do, motivation comes pretty easy. A lot of times, most of the time, it's actually just kind of subconscious. But for some things we do, we really struggle to find the motivation. And this speech is about what it takes to find the motivation. I'll cover three main points. The first point is the why factor. Second, the law of inertia. And third, the power of commitment. The why factor is your reason. It's the answer to the question, why are you doing this? If you don't have a good answer to that question, you're not going to have the motivation you need. This is the why factor. A good example of this is, I can remember from a time when I was younger, about 18 years old, 20 years ago. And at the time I was a runner. I had run about for 4 years at that time. One day out on a run, 3 or 4 miles away from home on a country road, nothing around me, I just started asking myself, why am I doing this? And the thing is that it was such a strange question for me to even be pondering, because I was always so focused on my goals. I was always focused on the answer to that question. The question itself never even really was a struggle. I didn't spend time on the question. I was focused on the answer. And suddenly on that day I was, and I didn't have an answer. And getting home that day was extremely difficult because I didn't have the motivation. I actually became a little bit scared just thinking, what am I going to do? It's going to take a long time to walk home. But I made it. It was like my motivation became just simple survival. I made it home. The next day, or not the next day, but maybe it might have been a day or two later, I went out for another run and thinking I wasn't really sure what I was going to encounter on this run. I kind of thought I might go a little bit, not quite so far this time. And about halfway through that run, I started encountering the same question. And this time, again, I didn't have an answer. And basically, I stopped running and started walking, and I walked the rest of the way home. And didn't run again, actually, for a long time after that, many years, until I found a new goal. Basically, I'd lost sight of my goals. And having motivation, the most important thing about having motivation is having a goal. It really is like the answer to what I call, the why factor. Once you have a goal, you have motivation. Now you're moving in the direction you want to go. But the first thing you're going to encounter is what I call the law of inertia. Now, you guys may or may not remember from school, but the law of inertia is from physics. It's Newton's first law of motion, and what it says is, an object at rest will remain at rest unless acted on by a net force. Or, likewise, an object in motion will remain in motion in the same direction and at the same speed unless acted on by a net force. Now, to me, human behavior is similar to this law of inertia in the sense that we're all creatures of habit. It takes a lot of effort to change your habits and start a new habit. And once you do, though, you've now formed a new habit and it becomes much easier. That's kind of the good and bad. It's bad because it's difficult to change our habits, but if you understand what's going on, you can use that as sort of energy, and you can use that as optimism, because once you get this habit, once you're down the road a little bit, the habit will be easier for you because now you've formed it. You're using law of inertia in your favor rather than trying to resist it. So once you have and basically to overcome that inertia, what it takes is a really good goal. If you think you have a goal and you think you have motivation, but you can't move forward, it's because your goal's not good enough. You need to go back and re-examine the goal. Maybe it's something you don't really need in your life, or maybe you just need to re-examine how you want to phrase that goal. What should that goal really be? The goal is the key to the motivation to overcoming that inertia. Once you've got the inertia, like I say, things get easier. But that's not the end of the story. Because even in the law of physics, there's other forces that you can encounter. And in real life, that's exactly what happens. You'll be moving in a direction of your goal, but you're going to be pushed and pulled in all types of directions by all these other outside forces. The only way you can stay on that course is if you have what I call the power of commitment. You've got to be committed to your goal. And again, it really comes back to how good is your goal. I think that, commitment, when I think of commitment is like you're willing to give a piece of your life to something. To have a good enough goal to achieve the power of commitment and the benefits that you'll get from commitment. You need to put your goal in the context of what it means for your life and what you want your life to be. You need to get real with the idea that your life is a precious gift. That basically, no matter what religion you have or what your understanding of science is, your existence is an absolute miracle. If you think about that, then you start understanding what you want to do. You start thinking about what you want to do with your life. A lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot of people, but people sometimes live their lives waiting to see a miracle. I say look around you. Everything you can actually see, I guarantee you this, everything you can see with your eyes is a wondrous miracle. And the greatest miracle of all is your own existence. So once you tap into that, then you can tap into commitment. Once you tie your goals with that understanding, you put the two together and they fit, then you can have commitment. Then you can move forward. And as you can see, this is really all about goals. Goals are the answer to the why factor. Goals give you the power and energy you need to overcome inertia. And goals are what you need for the power of commitment. That's my speech. I hope I said something today that can benefit you guys on your own journey through what I call this wondrous